Be prepared. There's a reason you've been feeling distant from the world, and tomorrow you'll finally understand the motive behind it. You don't go out because your energy is too pure for the noise. This isn't about being introverted. It's not about anxiety. You stay home because you were never meant to blend in with the world that numbs itself to survive. You are being protected from the static, kept away from the draining frequency of places that weren't designed for people like you. While most are chasing distractions, scrolling endlessly, losing hours to noise, you're being pulled inward, not because you're lost, but because something is trying to keep you aligned. And tomorrow, while the world spins on autopilot, there's going to be a silence most won't hear, because they're too loud to feel it. But if you're alone, if you're still, you'll feel it like a pulse underneath reality. It's not loneliness, it's positioning. And what happens during this silence isn't meant to be seen by the crowds. The world out there is a stage, and you stopped clapping a long time ago. Everything out there feels fake for a reason. The crowds, the parties, the fake laughs. It's not your imagination, it's your vision clearing. Malls feel like movie sets. Clubs feel like echo chambers. Even conversations feel scripted. You don't feel uncomfortable outside because something's wrong with you. You feel it because you see through the show. Tomorrow isn't just another day. It's a quiet shift, a hidden checkpoint. And while everyone else is asleep behind the wheel, you've already stepped out of the dream. People who need the noise can't sit in silence without shaking. But you've been comfortable in stillness because your soul is tuned to the truth no one else wants to look at. And that truth, it's about to reveal something they can't ignore, but only if you're still watching. You're not invisible. You're hidden on purpose. There's a reason you don't crave the spotlight. Not because you're afraid of being seen, but because the world isn't ready for the weight of your presence. The strongest spiritual forces walk quietly. They aren't broadcasting every move, seeking attention, or trying to prove themselves. They're removed strategically, because when your frequency disrupts illusions, your silence becomes your sharpest weapon. Chosen ones aren't antisocial. They're energetic game changers. And when they enter a room, they shift the entire field without saying a word. That's not something the system can handle on a mass scale, so you're placed in spiritual holding, not to delay you, to protect your mission. The start of August is not loud, not chaotic, not trending. That's exactly why it matters. There are energetic thresholds during these days that only the quiet ones will feel. And while the world rushes past the moment, you're being aligned with something they can't see. This isn't about being late or behind. You're not behind. You're just in a different dimension of preparation. A slower timeline, yes, but a sharper one. One that doesn't explode. It builds. And when the world finally hears you, it won't be a whisper. It'll be a reality shift. You weren't avoiding the world. You were being given a temple. If you've ever felt guilty for wanting to stay in, for canceling plans, or for needing more space than others seem to require, you've been tricked. Because the world loves to label stillness as weakness. They'll tell you productivity only happens in motion. They'll say that staying home is isolation, and being out there is where life happens. But the truth? Your space isn't where you're hiding. It's where you're being fortified. The insights you receive when you're alone. The clarity that arrives when you sit in silence. Those moments aren't accidental. They're sacred. And they've been guiding you quietly towards something louder than words. During these days, this becomes even more obvious. The energy isn't about what's happening outside. It's about what's unfolding in your inner environment. Your home isn't just four walls and a roof. It's a calibrated space that holds your energy, filters your reality, and strengthens your intuition. Not everyone is meant to feel safe in the noise. Some of us were designed to find the truth in stillness. So if you're spending these days indoors, feeling disconnected from the world's chaos, it's not avoidance, it's alignment. And your sanctuary is preparing you for something the outside world won't understand until it's too loud to ignore. You're not inactive. You're under construction. There's a false narrative that says if you're not constantly on the move, if you're not showing visible progress, you must be falling behind. But that story was never written for people like you. The ones who are building the most critical structures for the future are doing it behind closed doors, not on stages, not in meetings. They're doing it in silence, in stillness, in solitude. And what they're building isn't material, it's internal, it's foundational. Chosen ones often pull away from the world, not because they're quitting, but because they're receiving something the world isn't supposed to see yet. New insights, radical shifts in perception, entire frameworks for future realities that haven't even been named yet. It doesn't look like success. It doesn't look like progress, because it's not meant to look like anything at this stage. The start of August isn't going to come with fireworks or breakthroughs you can show off. Instead, it's a pressure point, a time where the invisible gets louder inside of you. You may feel tired for no reason, restless, even though you haven't moved much. You might feel like something's off, even though you can't name what. That's not a block. That's the sound of your internal scaffolding shifting. You're not stuck. You're stabilizing for something far bigger than anyone around you can understand. And that's the catch. This work doesn't get applause, because the world only claps for what it can see. But the most powerful changes never announce themselves until they're already complete. And when yours finally surfaces, it won't be small. It'll be seismic. Other people can survive chaos. You're built for precision. If you've ever wondered why you feel overwhelmed in situations that other people seem to breeze through, it's not that you're weak, it's that you're tuned differently. Chosen ones don't have ordinary nervous systems. They're wired with sensitivity that the world hasn't caught up with. Not the kind of sensitivity that breaks under pressure, but the kind that notices what others ignore. The kind that absorbs subtle shifts in energy, tone, and frequency. You don't just hear the noise, you feel its distortion. And while most people can exist inside that distortion, laughing under fluorescent lights, making small talk in dense crowds, numbing themselves in overstimulated environments, you don't have that option, because your system rejects the fake. Your biology refuses to settle for survival. This isn't a flaw. This is your calibration. Your nervous system isn't fragile, it's refined. The start of August is going to make this contrast even sharper. The collective energy will feel like a background hum growing louder. And if you've been sensitive lately, you're not imagining it. Something about these days is activating a kind of inner tuning. Even being in a grocery store, around artificial lighting or dense crowds might feel like too much. You may feel dizzy, disoriented, or like the air around you has a strange heaviness. Some are even reporting strange inner zaps or sudden rushes of vertigo, almost like their bodies are catching up with some unseen shift. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're receiving signals that others have long tuned out. And while most people are conditioned to push through that discomfort, chosen ones are being asked to listen to it. Because your body, your system, your field, it's not random. It's designed to detect what others can't handle, and it's leading you somewhere the noise can't follow. Every time you leave your space, you walk into a battlefield. Most people won't understand it. To them, it looks like you're shy, antisocial, maybe even struggling with anxiety. But what they don't see, what they don't even feel, is what you walk through every time you step into public energy. Because the moment you leave your space, you enter a spiritual war zone. Not metaphorically, literally. And the chosen ones, they feel it instantly. The sudden heaviness in your chest, the strange sense of pressure in your head. You walk into a room, and it's like the frequency drops. Your mood shifts, thoughts get foggy, energy sinks. People chalk it up to social fatigue or introversion. But you know better. You're not tired, you're under psychic pressure. This is energetic crossfire, spiritual interference. It happens when your field is too clear, too calibrated, and you enter a space full of unresolved energy, unconscious projections, and chaotic frequencies. You absorb static that doesn't belong to you. You feel the undercurrents others don't even notice. It's why you come back from the grocery store and feel like you've run a marathon. Why social events leave you emotionally wiped, even if they were brief. Why a short commute through a busy city feels like you've passed through a fog you can't explain. And during this weekend, that fog gets thicker. This isn't just a mood swing, it's atmospheric. The veil is thinner right now. The energetics are sharper, more invasive. And for someone like you, someone with a refined field, with a system that actually listens, you can't afford to ignore it. You're not crazy for staying home. You're not broken for needing time alone after even minor outings. You're not weak. You're just sensitive to the very things others have numbed themselves against. When your field is clear, distortion becomes unbearable. And while the rest of the world charges ahead unaware, you've already started pulling back. Not out of fear, but out of strategy. Because you understand that exposure comes at a cost. And the real battle isn't what's in front of you. It's what's moving through the air, the words, the silence. So when you step out, it's not random. It's not casual. It's a spiritual decision. And lately, that decision feels heavier than ever. If you were always available, your power would be diluted. There's a reason why the most valuable things in the world aren't found on every street corner. They're tucked away, guarded, reserved for those who are ready. And your energy is no different. You weren't designed to be everywhere, all the time. You weren't built for constant exposure, small talk on command, or to be available at the world's convenience. Because your presence shifts things, and real power isn't loud, it's rare. People don't value what they can always access. Your aura carries information. It carries silence. It carries a charge that isn't meant to be scattered casually. And that's why you've always felt an unspoken pull to retreat. Not because you're antisocial, but because your energy knows its value. Every time you try to fit in, to be more present, more social, more seen, you feel it. That friction, that quiet sense of betrayal against yourself. Because deep down, you know you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to appear selectively with intention, like a rare phenomenon that shows up when the skies align, not when the calendar demands it. This weekend is one of those alignments. It's not about isolation, it's about refinement. There's a sacred pull towards stillness, not because you're hiding, but because your system is recalibrating. And anything that forces you to be more visible than you need to be right now will feel like distortion. So if you've cancelled plans, ghosted invitations, or just feel like the outside world is too much, that's not a personal flaw. That's your aura protecting its bandwidth. Rarity creates impact, and your energy was never meant to be consumed like background noise. While others burn themselves out being everywhere, you're choosing presence over performance. You're conserving your signal for what actually matters. And when the moment comes that calls for your full power, you won't be drained. You'll be ready, because you didn't give it all away for the sake of being seen. You knew. Not everything rare is hidden, but everything hidden is rare for a reason. If you feel like the outside world is too much right now, you're not imagining it. Lately, something about the outside world just doesn't feel right. You step into public spaces, and there's this invisible tension, like a pressure that builds in your chest the longer you stay. People are more reactive, more chaotic, and conversations often feel hollow, like everyone is talking, but no one is really saying anything. The noise isn't just auditory, it's energetic, emotional, and overwhelming in a way that's hard to explain to anyone who hasn't felt it themselves. This isn't just you becoming more sensitive. It's the world becoming more unstable. As the collective energy on the planet begins to shift, those who are not grounded, not self-aware, not aligned, are starting to spiral. That instability leaks out into everything: the media, the streets, the moods of strangers, even the air in crowded rooms. And while most people are too distracted to notice, those who are tuned in, you, are picking up on every single frequency shift. The veil is thinning, and those who can't face the truth are drowning in noise to avoid it. We're not just dealing with louder traffic or busier schedules. What's intensifying is the need to distract. The fear of stillness is rising, and people are doing everything they can to avoid the discomfort that comes when the external noise quiets down. You might find yourself feeling out of place even in familiar environments. Spaces you used to tolerate are now unbearable. The energy feels heavy, unpredictable, even aggressive. This is happening because your internal system is evolving faster than the world around you. You're becoming more attuned, more refined, and that sensitivity isn't weakness. It's awareness. And while others drown it out, you're being pushed to notice it all. That push, while uncomfortable, is actually your protection. It's your guidance system alerting you to what's no longer aligned. So if lately you've been avoiding errands, canceling plans, or pulling away from the external world, not because of anxiety, but because something deep in you feels off out there, trust it. You're not imagining the pressure. The noise is rising, and it's a sign of a collective system trying to hold itself together while deeper truths begin to surface. And while everyone else runs from the silence, you're being called into it. Because what's next won't come from the chaos, it'll come from those who chose to stay still while the rest turned up the volume. Most people will be distracted, but something rare is unlocking for those who remain still. There's a subtle energy approaching that won't arrive with fanfare. No cosmic explosions, no dramatic planetary alignments, no obvious signs, and that's exactly what makes it powerful. This is one of those rare energetic windows that slips beneath the radar of the busy, the restless, the constantly scrolling, and yet carries immense potential for inner shift. Starting tomorrow, while the world is trying to do more, chase more, prove more, something else is quietly beginning to open, but only for those who pull back from the noise. This isn't a time for performance. It's not about rituals or trying to be more spiritual. It's about stillness, true stillness, the kind where your nervous system softens, your breath deepens, and you're finally able to hear yourself again. In these quiet hours, Something ancient and rare will be placed within you, not through effort, but through presence. You probably won't feel it as a big breakthrough. It may not even be noticeable at first. It could come as a subtle shift in your thoughts, a clear decision where there was fog, a dream that brings a strange clarity, or even just an unexplainable peace that lands in the middle of your ordinary life. And here's the part most people won't understand. The more distracted they stay during this window, the more they miss. They'll say nothing's happening because they're waiting for fireworks, not silence. But silence is where the real work enters. This rare seed of clarity, vision, or alignment. It won't knock loudly. It needs stillness. It needs you to stop reacting, stop chasing, and finally listen to what's trying to land in you. So if tomorrow or the day after you feel a strong pull to cancel plans, go inward, or just sit in silence, trust it. That instinct isn't laziness. It's your field preparing to receive. You're not late to the party. You were never meant to attend it. There's a narrative out there, loud, persistent, and carefully designed, that tells you life only happens when you're out in the world, chasing experiences, going places, being seen. You've heard it 1,000 times. If you're not out there, you must be falling behind, stuck, missing out. But that's not your story. That was never your path to begin with. The truth is, what most people call living is often just escaping. Escaping stillness, escaping discomfort, escaping themselves. They run from place to place, event to event, hoping the next dinner, the next crowd, the next picture on their feed will finally make them feel whole. But deep down, they're not full, they're frantic. Always searching, never finding. When you choose to stay home, it's not because you're afraid of the world, it's because you've already seen through it. You're not avoiding life. You're creating space for something far more rare, spiritual clarity. That's what's unfolding now in this very moment. These quiet days aren't empty, they're encoded, not with noise, but with instruction, with refinement, with deep, invisible alignment. While others chase experiences for validation, you're sitting with your truth, and that's where the real shift is happening. You don't need more noise, you need more signal. This period, what feels like stillness to most, is the sacred pause before movement. It's the inhale before the leap. While others burn themselves out in the name of momentum, you're recharging in silence. You're not missing out on the world. You're becoming the kind of person who no longer needs it to feel alive. Because when the time comes, and it will, you won't just re-enter the world, you'll reshape it. Let them keep running. Let them keep chasing. You were never supposed to follow their map. You're building your own compass. And what looks like nothing right now might just be the beginning of everything. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.